There's this woman who met a divorcee, a guy who fell in love with her and wanted to marry her. They dated for about 6 months and they got married. The woman was a student nurse at the time, and the guy was into business. He had his own business and he was working. They got married. The relationship was so exciting. They were always out and about, inseparable, and all of that. And then life happened. They had a son together, and as life happened, the guy's business started to dwindle. Things became really difficult. He lost a lot of money. Some of his contracts weren't going the way he'd expected them to, and life suddenly became very difficult for them. By this time, the woman had finished her education. She had a job and a salary. So it made sense that the expectation was that whilst they were going through their Egypt at the time, as it were, that she would also take charge of the home, keep it going, whilst the guy tries everything humanly possible to get his business back on track. The woman started paying the bills for a couple months, and then the grumbling and complaining started. You see, because prior to the guy's business dwindling, he was the one paying for everything, and she could use her salary to go shopping and buy all the things that she wants and try to prove to her um, colleagues and age mates that she had arrived, she had the perfect marriage and all of that. Well, now there was no money to do any of that. All the outings and spending money and shopping and buying all the expensive stuff had to stop because the husband's salary was gone. The complaining started because she had to now take charge of things and handle the situation, handle the homestead. There was a lot of arguments. She started sharing the difficult challenges that was going on in their homestead with her friends and family. Things got so bad that the guy will come back from trying to go see what can be done about his business. He'd come back home from work, and his home is full of people, the lady's friends, the parents, the family. And in that difficult drought of a season of theirs, they're busy partying, buying expensive food that she knew they couldn't afford with everything going on, and just splashing out and all of that. On the back of these kinds of parties, there'll be a huge argument. The woman would get so upset, say all kinds of insulting things back to the husband. Ultimately, she said after 4 or 5 months that she was tired, she was fed up, and she needed a break. So she picked up her son, packed a suitcase, and left and went to live with her parents, the mom and the siblings and all of that, in a different part of the city. When she was leaving, the guy was literally on bended knees. Don't go, we can work this out, just stay. There's nothing like going on break in a marriage. She didn't listen. She left. Things got so bad for this guy. He would stay indoors for days and not even know where his next meal is going to come from. A few months later, he met this other woman, also a student, doing nursing. It was difficult. But this girl would take her student loan money that she was using to keep herself afloat while studying and support the man. She'd came, she'd cook, she'd clean, she'd do anything. And a relationship began. The lady never complained whether they went out or they couldn't, because the guy couldn't afford to do none of that. But even if it was sitting on the floor and eating, she was happy to do that with him. This woman stuck around with the guy, and after about 8 months to a year, things started to pick up in the business. As soon as the wife, who had left on a break, discovered that things were now starting to pick up for the husband again, People were seeing him driving around again, and he was, he was out there. The woman now remembered that she was a married woman, called the husband and said she wants to come back home. The husband says, "Oh, I also want to go on a break. So when I'm done on the break and I'm ready for you to come back home, I will let you know." 6 months came and went. No message from the husband. 1 year came and went. She even sent people to come find where the husband is and talk to him, to no avail. A couple years later, when she now realized that, oh my God, this guy is never going to ask me back home, she now sent her family, she herself, and a bunch of people to the house to go beg the guy that she wants to come back to her matrimonial home. By the time she got there, the other woman who had stood with the guy through thick and thin, who had been through the mill with him, was now married to him, and she was actually pregnant. When she came and saw this new woman, she now wanted to come and create commotion. You're a home wrecker, you slut, this, that, and the other, and slandering this other woman. The guy packed the rest of her clothes, everything else she had in the house, presented them to the family, and said, "This marriage has been done for 2 years anyway. So thank God that you're here. Here are the rest of her things. You guys can leave my house." I want to know what your views on this whole thing is. But I just wanted to use this story as a teaching point to some of you who are listening. And this can go both ways. But today, I just wanted to focus on some of our sisters, because we live in an era where a lot of people think that relationship and marriage is some kind of a microwavable food, and that everything is always going to be on the up and up. But you see, marriage is a commitment that you make for a lifetime. If you go into marriage for any other reason other than loving the person that you've chosen to be with, it always creates problems. You can tell from this woman's attitude that she only wanted the marriage as long as it worked for her, as long as it afforded her the opportunity to live the high-class lifestyle and put out that aura around her that she derived, the life that she couldn't even afford on her own salary. So it was well and good when the husband would do everything so that she could spend her income that was coming in on living that frivolous lifestyle and try to keep up with the Joneses and keep up appearances. When it was called upon that she took charge of affairs, as the guy tried to go into his business and figure it out, she didn't want to. And this is life. If you're a woman or a man listening to me and you think that the whole intention and the mindset of going into a marriage or relationship is to take advantage of people and use them, it only takes time. It might take 5 years, even 10 years. But no matter how long it takes, that person that you're using and taking advantage of, they always wake up. When you go to do 419 and juju and all of those things, and think that you can use that to charm a man or a woman, it is only a matter of time. Whatever charm it is always clears up. And believe you me, when it does happen, it is you that would lose the bigger things that you could have had if you had stayed the test of time. Life is full of ups and downs. It is never going to be a picture perfect rosy situation. It doesn't happen like that. That's just not how life is. Life is full of ups and downs. There will always be bumps in the road. And it is the men and women that stay with their partners through the valleys and the cliffs, on the mountains, in the light and in the darkness, are the ones that are able to sustain and keep the marriage and all the blessings that come out of it. And so if you're a person that's listening to me today, and your whole premise of going into a marriage and a relationship is to take advantage, because these days there's so many reasons why people get into marriage, for some of them, and a lot of women, especially in Africa, some in the diaspora as well. The whole mindset about marriage is, I'm going to get married so that the man can take care of me. My darling, you have 10 fingers and 2 hands. You have a brain. Stop mocking and insulting God and use your own energy, strength, might, mindset, the skill sets that God has given you, the talents that you have, to make an income of your own. Make ends meet by yourself. Be responsible for your own life in every sense of the word, so that you earn the respect and credibility for your own self. My sisters that are going into relationships just because you think that you are the ones that are sensible enough to take advantage of other people's children, other people's sons. These are some of the things that happen. There are men in today's day and age who equally prey on vulnerable, successful women and think that they are the only wise people that take advantage of them. You know, life is so funny. What goes around always does come around. And so my advice today, based on this particular story that I'm talking about, of which I've seen so many, is, my sisters, always make the whole premise and the reason why you're getting into a marriage with somebody else's son that you love them, that you want to be in this marriage, and you want the marriage to work, and you're prepared to commit to the husband, and the two of you commit to making the relationship stand the test of time. It is nobody's son's job to take care of you and to look after you in a marriage. Marriage is a commitment between two people that are complementing each other. It is not a poverty alleviation scheme. It is not anything that you get into just because you think you have the mindset and the brains to turn your own marriage into a business venture of which you're making profits and gains. You have your own life. You're making a success of it, and you're bringing in somebody else into the equation to complement each other so that you can support each other. That is the whole premise of marriage. And we need to understand this from the get-go so that we're able to make a good life for ourselves. Guys, I love you so much. And I want to see people succeeding and thriving in every aspect of our lives, including in our relationships and marriages. If the mindset, if the premise, if the foundations of the whole relationship are wrong, trust me, it does not stand the test of time. Go in for love. Go in to support. Don't go to take from people. Go to be somebody that is supporting the structure to stand. And it is a two-way affair. You can't be the one that is on the receiving end in a marriage all the time. It is a hand-go, hand-come situation. You're trading off and balancing off each other. That is how the relationship stands the test of time. It's a very sad state of affairs, but this woman has lost a marriage that she could have had if the whole premise and mindset was right from the get-go. There's so many stories like this. Both men and women are guilty of this. In this particular one, it's women, but I've seen men do the same too. Any other reason other than love is not a good enough reason to be in a marriage. When you love somebody, you profess them, you protect them, and you provide for them. You don't go in to cheat them. take advantage of them, use them, and scheme things up in a marriage. I love you. My name is Sika. If you need any coaching, contact me. There's a link in my bio. Go to the Linktree link and click on the various buttons that are there. Pick on what you want and come, let's have a conversation about anything that you want to talk about. Let's figure out how to support and help you here. There's so many people in my inbox. I need to speak to you. I need to speak to you. I'm sorry, but none of those services are free. If you want an hour of my time to listen to what you have to discuss, go to the Linktree in my bio and book a session and come, let's talk. The name, as always, is Sika. Sika on TikTok, Sika on YouTube, Sika on Facebook. It's all Sika Educates. Sika Educates on all the social media handles, and you would reach me. I love you guys so much. Bye.